Welcome students to your first video lesson with Mr. Connect. So, we are going to start learning about integers and absolute value. And what I'm going to ask you to do here is pause your video lecture and you're going to copy down what you see so you're prepared for me to go over the examples. So pause here and copy down what you see. Okay, welcome back. So our essential question here is how do we use absolute value and how do we compare numbers? And again, our focus in this lesson is integers and absolute value. Now you've learned about integers in your past, but if you forgot, integers are all whole numbers and their opposites. So 1 is an integer and -1 is an integer. 0 is an integer, 3,000 is an integer. So in our first example here, we're going to be ordering numbers on a number line. So go ahead and circle the numbers we care about in this wonderful word problem, and then we're going to start placing them on the number line. So go ahead and circle the numbers we care about. Awesome job. So hopefully you circled 1, -5, 0, -1, 2, and 4. And then we need to create a number line. I like to use my next drawing tool. These number lines go on forever. And we're going to make sure that we have all the way down from -5 up to +4. So based on that, I'm likely going to have to count every other graph line on my paper. Remember, you should space yours out so it works. Okay, that's going to be -4, -3, 2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and we understand the pattern. Okay, so let's go ahead and place our numbers on the number line. Our first one is the number 1. And we're going to place a circular dot on the line. Next one's -5, 0, -1, 2, and 4. And now that we do that, it's easy to see our least to greatest is there. Awesome job, students. So that is our answer. And we did order them from least to greatest on our number line. Hopefully that wasn't too overwhelming. I know it's pretty simple. That's something we're required to teach, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty fast as a lesson for you. So let me jump ahead. Draw a squiggly line. Go ahead and pause your video lecture one more time here and copy down what you see. Please make sure when you do pause and copy this down, you're leaving space on these examples. I'm going to need room below them to copy down the answers. So go ahead and pause here and copy down what you see. Okay, welcome back. So what we're focused on here is our wonderful concept of absolute value. And what absolute value is it's a distance a number is from 0. So it's how far it is from 0. And as you may have realized in life, there are no negative distances. Whenever we describe a distance, distance is always described as a positive number. So for example, if you drove from the middle school to your home, that's 5 miles. But if you drive from your home to the middle school, it's not -5. It's still 5 miles. So absolute value, since it's the distance from 0, always gets turned in, whatever is inside those absolute value symbols, into a positive number. So let's start looking how that applies to example number 1. On question 1, it says, what is the absolute value of -13? So how far is -13 from 0? Yeah, you're right, it's 13. So that's our answer. On number 2, how far is 6 from 0? Yeah, you're right. 6. Notice the answer, this number and this number always came out positive. It's how far it is from 0. Now, number 3 has a star on it because students love to make the mistake on this problem. They don't pay attention that this negative here is actually on the outside of the absolute value symbols, which means we're going to have to apply the order of operations. Now, this negative is not just floating there. It's actually a -1, and we're just mathematicians that are lazy writing that -1 there. So I'm going to rewrite it as -1 times the absolute value of 4. If you're having trouble in this next part of the lesson, you may want to double check your 1.2 note on the order of operations, because now we're applying absolute values in the order of operations. And what's the first step of the order of operations? Yeah, it's grouping symbols. So we have some grouping symbols here, and the absolute value of 4 is 4. But we still have to bring down the -1 and the multiplication symbol. Now there are no more grouping symbols. We don't have any powers, and we do have multiplication and division. So what is -1 times 4? Yeah, it's -4. So number 3 is hard for students to normally comprehend because they're like, I thought you said all absolute values were positive. And when they argue that, I like students to realize the absolute value of 4 was positive 4. So it did come out positive, but we had to continue using the order of operations. I want you to leave number 4 for class. So we're going to do number 4 in class. So make sure you leave space because I'm going to show you the next slide. Go ahead and write down number 5. Copy that down. I'm actually going to jump 2 problems ahead because these are the last 2 problems of our 2.1 note. Can you please make sure to copy down problem 5 and problem 6 here? And these 4, 5, and 6 will be the problems we do in class to make sure we understand our video lesson. I hope you enjoyed your first video lecture with Mr. Kinnett. That's all. Remember, if you have any questions, write down your questions in the question column. That's a great way to remember what you want to ask me the next day whenever we do these video lessons. So great job, students. I can't wait to see you tomorrow and teach you about 2.1.